Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar, Yoda Debunks the Top 5 Challenges of Continuous Testing in the Cloud. Before we begin, I'd like to cover 3 housekeeping items for our viewers. First, at the bottom of your audience console, you'll find a number of widgets for questions and additional resources. When you have questions for the presenters during the webcast, click on the Q&A widget and submit your question. We will answer as many questions as possible at the end of the webcast, and if we run out of time, we'll get back to you via email. Second, if you need any tech support during the webinar, please use the help option. Third and finally, a copy of today's slide deck is available in the resources section at the bottom of your screen. We will also email you a link to the recording of this webinar within the next few hours. With that, I will introduce our presenters for today's webinar, Eran Kinsberner, Chief Evangelist and Author, and Johnny Lamb, Head of Sales Engineering here at Perfecto by Perforce. Eran, I'll pass it off to you. Thank you for joining us on today's webinar.
Thank you, Shelby, and welcome everyone for today's webinar. And I guess for today's webinar, this is who we are. As mentioned, I'm the DevOps Chief Evangelist for Perfecto within Perforce company, and also an author. Hi, Johnny. How are you?
Hey, Eran. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on this call.
It's our pleasure. Just a word about yourself, Johnny.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been leading the global sales engineering team at Perfecto, and really what we do on a daily basis is understand from our customers and prospect what their needs is and whether or not Perfecto can help you out on solving some of those challenges. I've been in the field for my entire career. I have a background in software engineering, development and tests, so I'm very familiar with some of the challenges that QA and automation engineering and developers might be facing when it comes to reaching goals such as continuous testing and embedding quality gates into your DevOps pipeline. Happy to be on the call to discuss quite a few things today. And I think we have a pretty exciting agenda, Eran.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. And you know what we have tried to do for this webinar, we've tried to collect almost all these myths and challenges or concerns organizations have before and sometimes also during moving their solutions, their DevOps processes and continuous testing into the cloud, from kind of moving from a DIY, do-it-yourself, towards the cloud. And what we have learned is that there are security concerns when moving to the cloud, testing in QA environment with a cloud vendor, too much effort to migrate existing frameworks like Selenium, Appium, and others to the cloud, whether it's for mobile or for web. The price is something that comes often with regards to moving to a cloud solution. And obviously, dealing with advanced use cases that typically you would think that you can only do on your own locally in a DIY kind of fashion. So what myself and Johnny hope is that by the end of this webinar, you will have all the information, including a demo and experiences from our live activities, to give you everything you need to be able to kind of debunk all of these challenges and be more confident in moving to a cloud-based solution. And don't just take my word for it. So what Yoda and Perfecto have seen in 2020, and 2020 was a challenging year for everyone, for almost any aspect. What we have learned from our existing customers who are using the cloud, the Perfecto private and public cloud, we learned that they have benefited from these 8 things, 8 values that they have obtained from using their test automation within the cloud. So they were able to keep up with all the platform upgrades, and you get web updates and mobile updates on a monthly and sometimes bi-weekly basis from new operating systems for mobile and web, new devices and stuff like that. We got that we're always available and accessible from anywhere in the world, and this was really a very huge benefit, especially in 2020, but also going forward. The enterprise level services that you get from a cloud was also something that we hear a lot. We had a lot in 2020. The scalability, the disaster recovery, the cost effective, and we will be happy to be challenged during this webinar by you guys online on almost anything that you see here on the slide. But this is what we are reflecting here as voices of our customers. That's what they've leveraged and benefited within 2020. Johnny, just a word about this slide. Have you seen something, obviously all of these 8 things are values of the cloud, and this is what we have been hearing. Have you seen something which really stood up in 2020 from these top 8 benefits?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as we progress through 2020, one of the key things is there is a drive to do more remote testing within the organization. And this really stems from the environmental impact that COVID has done to us. We see that there is a migration of office workers now working at home. And the key challenge is, how do I, in a QA team or development organization, share devices with my rest of my colleagues? In the past, this wasn't a problem. We can all go into office. But nowadays, this is a top criteria that we see a lot of our customers looking at the market for a robust solution that can support them in their DQA and that DevOps journey.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're just going to see more of that in 2021 with everything that is going on, and we'll just soon reflect a few of the things that we are seeing. Just a word about, and you will see it in the demo, a word about the architecture of the Perfecto Cloud, and that's what our customers benefited from in the previous slide. So the way our platform is built is that we have a cloud-based layer, or that's the platform that we have, which consists of multiple, actually unlimited scale of browsers, virtual machine browsers like Chrome on Windows 10 and Safari on different Mac OSs. And this is on the browser, on the cross-browser testing level. We also have, obviously, real mobile devices, iOS and Android, and virtual devices, simulators and emulators. The layer on top is where we have all the test creation and execution throughout almost any platform or framework that you can think of, from Selenium, Appium, Espresso, XUI Test, Cypress, and many more. So everything here is supported and connects and runs on these different platforms, mobile and web. And we also have built a very advanced reporting and analytics environment that really gives you a single pane of glass for everything that you are doing throughout your testing cycles, whether it's coming from CI or just from your IDE or other environment. And in the demo, I'm going to actually show you exactly what I mean, but that's just in a high level how the cloud platform is built to serve the different practitioners, business testers, SDETs, and developers. So let's start with the first challenge that we have been hearing a lot about, and that's the cloud security concerns. And let's try to debunk that one. Johnny, do you want to talk a bit about the security in the Perfecto Cloud?
Right, absolutely. So I think one of the key things that I hear a lot, especially talking to prospect, is they're wondering, like, will their security department, their InfoSec team, will they approve a cloud lab in general? So you see that common misconception is, hey, cloud, it's outside of my organization. Is it secure? Like, do I have any concerns? And for QAs and development, most of the time, they're not aware of what InfoSec teams are looking for in order to pass that, security checkbox. So for any solution in the market, really what we hear a lot is they want to be secure enough so that, they can check the checkbox. But what are the questions that the security team would typically ask? Now we've been in a lot of these conversations where we're really confident on, what are the common questions that this InfoSec team would ask development and QA. And we're happy to answer a lot of those questions in either a meeting format or send over some security responses. So you'll see that for a lot of a security team, what they're looking for is really different layers of security. And in the diagram, we'll go through each one of these. You'll see that there's 5 different layers that they're typically interested in. But on a high level, they're looking for things like, is there any, let's say, sensitive data being stored? Is there data encrypted at rest? Those are the common problems common questions that security team would be asking. It doesn't hurt that, for example, we have a SOC 2, we're SOC 2 certified. Those are the things that for enterprise customer, those are table stakes that they're looking for as well. Another thing that typically we ask about is really, how do we access these internal environments securely? So the Perfectos, there's quite a few different ways of accessing it. And in this case, if we look at the next slide, there is a network diagram, which on a high level represents what are the things we need. And in this case, there's quite a few different methods. There's one of three methods which a lot of customers are using. You can either do an IP whitelist to connect to your backend servers. We can set up a very secure site-to-site VPN. And we can also leverage what we call Perfecto Connect. And we'll describe those in further detail as to why they're secure and why they're the preferred choice by your security team.
Definitely, Johnny, and I think that at the end of the day, and what we have learned over the past years, Perfecto has been serving enterprise customers for over 13 years. So we have been challenged with so many different, security requirements, network configurations, and we have been able to not just comply and satisfy all of these requirements, but also advance and add even more value as we, matured our product. And you will see later on in the slide some additional examples about how we are doing that exactly. So after, showing you the security layers of the application security layer, the processes, the data, and everything else, and the network compliance that we have with so many different requirements, let's now look at testing, using the network to test really against local QA environments. And here, as Johnny started to talk about, we are able to allow our users, again, whether they are developer or SDETs, to execute any of their test cases from any of their frameworks or IDEs, whether it's IntelliJ or Eclipse, Android Studio, Xcode, anything that you are building your test in, or other even, standalone frameworks like Tosca and any others, run them from the IDE, from Jenkins, from their CI/CD, against the cloud on mobile and web. And if you have your environment built locally on your local host or other local servers which are dependent on other backend services, as Johnny mentioned, we have what we call the Perfecto Connect. And the Perfecto Connect allows you exactly to establish this secure tunnel, the connection between our cloud devices and your local environment, obviously, and the test environment, test frameworks, so you can do the testing exactly as you would do in a DIY environment, but this is done securely in the cloud. Any word you want to add on that slide, Johnny?
Yes, so this Perfecto Connect is really an additional feature that we provide. Really, the goal is to give you the flexibility through multiple ways in accessing your QA environment. I know this has been a very high priority for a lot of our customers. So when we talk to our customers, really what they say is, hey, most of our tests are in QA environments or UAT environments, and how does a cloud vendor help me in running these tests? So our goal here is really to give you as much so that your security team would approve one of these free methods.
Definitely. And again, towards the end of this webinar, we're going to show you a demo of actually running against the local environment some of the most sophisticated test cases, scenarios that you can think of through this technology that we have built, developed, and this runs in the cloud. That's just a screenshot taken from the demo. You will see it live pretty soon. So the next challenge with the cloud that we have been hearing was about migrating test automation frameworks. And here, what I wanted to explain is that wherever you are in your journey, maturity, skill set, whichever technology that you are using today, from a continuous integration standpoint, IDE, test automation framework, test management and defect management solutions, performance testing frameworks, we have got you covered, and Perfecto has built and continuously builds additional integrations through our REST APIs and other technologies that we have to really allow you to maximize your testing processes, your test coverage, and match the skill set and process to what you are trying to accomplish. These are just few. This is just a subset of the technologies that the cloud, the Perfecto Cloud, integrates with. From a CI perspective, you can see the leading ones such as Jenkins, TeamCity, Bamboo, but also recently, late in 2020, we have integrated with Bitrise for a mobile CI/CD. So we also have an integration with Bitrise. With regards to IDEs, we have a plugin in the Catalan Studio store. We work within Eclipse, Visual Studio, and IntelliJ, as well as Android Studio and Xcode. So you can run your tests from these IDEs. In addition, we also, of course, support all of the leading open source test automation frameworks, ranging from Selenium to Appium, WebDriver.io, and Amplitude for visual testing, Espresso, and recently we are also working to add additional frameworks such as Cypress and also Flutter, so these are also coming up soon. In addition, we have the Jira integration, which is plugged into our reporting environment. You will see it in the demo. So we plugged ourselves also from a process perspective, from shift left towards right and test management practices. We integrate with the performance testing solutions, and we actually, myself and Johnny, ran a nice webinar late in 2020 showing our abilities to work with Neoload from a performance testing perspective. So it's also something that we do. So the bottom line here is that we are open and integrated with whatever test automation that you have built or using should and quite feasibly integrate into our cloud, into our platform.
Yeah, just to add to that, Ron, I think when you think about why we do this is really we understand Perfecto is one part of your DevOps tool set. And we architected Perfecto in a way so that everything has an open API into it, which allows us to listen to our customers. So if there's an integration that's missing, it allows us to pivot and to work on an integration that is important to you.
Definitely. And, you know, Johnny, and you see day in and day out with almost any customer that I'm engaging with, is using a plethora of different tools. So I haven't seen one customer that just uses, you know, Jenkins or just uses Selenium. They're all using a mix of tools that matches their processes, their objectives, and their skill set, which means they are by default using different set of tools, and we're trying to really plug ourselves into these processes so they don't need to change anything, just convert and really upload or execute everything that they have in the cloud securely and at scale. So that's definitely the reality that we see today. Moving to the next, and that's about the business case for moving to the cloud, and the cloud together with cost avoidance. And what we have seen is that as continuous testing becomes reality, and organizations are trying not just to release faster, but also cover more use cases, more platforms. Everything is digital today, and 2020 actually proved everyone that you need to have a solid digital channel, web and mobile. Everything needs to be up and running globally across so many different configurations of mobile devices, operating systems, and browsers. And when you add on top of them all the different complex scenarios that you have, the cube, this coverage cube that you see right now, is becoming quite sophisticated and quite big for you to support. And actually, we have strong business cases. Johnny has seen it for so many years in his job, that we are actually proving that you can save a lot of money by shifting so many of these activities towards the cloud, which allows you to avoid purchasing, maintaining, updating, and making sure that the devices are available 24/7. You see, when you work with enterprises, you work in different teams spread globally. So think about a US team that is now testing for 8 hours or 9 hours. Once they go to sleep in the eastern part of the world, people are waking up and starting to test, so they can actually utilize the exact same devices. There is a lot of cost avoidance that you can think of when you're dealing with the cloud. And we're here looking as well into some of the next slides that we're talking about maximizing also the test cases coverage themselves, the complex test cases that you can only automate within the cloud, which are hard to automate locally. So again, I think that the cost of test execution and the ability to maximize your coverage in a cloud vendor with a cloud vendor is by far more efficient and less costly than doing it yourself in-house. Johnny, you have any other real-life examples to that?
No, I think Iran, you said it best. The perception that a lot of my customers I talk to, they feel like that it's cheaper to do a DIY lab in-house first, and they feel like they don't need to, let's say, reach out to a cloud vendor until they scale, until they want to, let's say, test on more devices. But in reality, especially nowadays, what we're finding is that it's actually counterintuitive, but it's a lot cheaper to do the other way around. If you have, let's say, a cloud vendor in mind to start your, let's say, automation program or a QA program, you're essentially looking at paying a fraction of what you would normally do to build out a DIY lab, especially with a lot of cloud vendors out there where there's a mixture of public cloud, there's private cloud, but there's a lot of these options where you can, instead of buying these physical devices and buying, let's say, the top 10, top 20 device on Android and iOS, you can pay a subscription fee and pay a very low subscription fee to cover all of those devices, which you probably don't use every day, but you might need to use, let's say, once in a while. And a lot of the customers, they do come to Perfecto for this very purpose. So we see a lot more influx of, let's say, startups where they want to scale, they want to release with good quality, but they don't want a huge, let's say, local lab per se to maintain and to upkeep.
And Johnny, as you can see right now on the slide, right, when you're using a cloud solution, you can actually see the different configurations that you can easily obtain, like iPhone on an old iOS 12 and Android on an old OS version 6 or 7, which is very hard to get today. So you can really maximize your coverage and cover different operating systems, minor releases, major releases in a very easy and centralized manner, and really support all the different use cases, reproduce bugs that are coming from production on older platforms that sometimes are hard to obtain when you're dealing with a DIY solution. So I think that the cloud has actually proved over the years, and it's not just what we are saying at Perfecto, it's what Gartner and Forrester are saying, that the cloud, especially when you look at the lab here, the lab component, is the cost-effective, the most scalable and secure solution for you to manage your entire digital testing activities. But with that, and if you, I think you should remember the previous slide of the cube, because in the cube we had this angle of complex test cases, and I think this is where we are going to prove to you some of the most advanced test automation cases on mobile that you can do only in a cloud and actually with Perfecto. And first is how to deal with biometrics test automation. So automating with fingerprint and face recognition on top of Appium, this is something that isn't trivial or easy to do. It's easier to do on a simulator or emulator with Appium. Doing it on a real device today, it's quite challenging, and there aren't many solutions out there that are doing it efficiently. With Perfecto, we are able to do it for many years now, and we can really enable you as a prerequisite for your testing of any mobile application today to really automate the entire biometrics flow, including two-factor authentication and all the other end-to-end activities related to login. In addition, the injection of location. So if you want to mimic the end user being or traveling from one area to the next and understand the user experience or the context which requires, once you are moving to a different geography, you might get a pop-up or a notification and you want to test that. By injecting locations through the cloud manually and also through automation, you can really cover such use case and scenario. In addition, scanning images like barcode scanning, check deposit, and many other image injection related use cases. I think Perfecto is among the only vendors, I think probably one of the only vendors out there that can automate image scanning, image injection on mobile devices. So this is just another example of an advanced use case that I don't think that many of you guys online are aware of, that can be automated easily in the cloud. You can do it with Perfecto on top of our platform and Appium. So this is another advanced use case. Johnny, I know that you have been implementing so many use cases with image injection and barcode scanning. Do you have any additional comment or insight from your experience on this use case?
Yes, and I think this is one of our true core differentiators, because as we start talking to a lot of our customers, one of the things that become very obvious is they're not aware that on top of open source Appium, there are these automation capability. So a lot of our customers would come to us and say something like, we have, let's say 70% of our test cases automate, or 80% of their test cases are already automated. And as we start uncovering more about the current state, we realize that that 70%, 80% that they automated does not include these sort of use case. So things that Aran has mentioned. So as we present this as a solution to them, it really opens up another dimension of use cases where they can automate. So what we do find is that, and overall, when we look at their end-to-end automation, we can add on another 30 to 40% use cases that they can put through their regression pipeline or their CI/CD pipeline. And this is really important because what we find is that when shops that get to a high degree of automation, they can truly start looking at how do you do things like shifting left. They can do things like adding quality gates early on, and they can start reaping the benefits of having more quality gates and reliable pipelines.
And definitely, you know, Johnny, the most important, or one of the most important things also, they are doing that, we're also saving money, because doing all of these advanced use cases manually, obviously, is less efficient, error-prone, and costly. Once you are able to automate it and put it into your CI/CD, shifting it left, you're saving money from doing it, you know, one by one manually across so many devices. So that's also the cost avoidance. Going back to the login advanced scenarios, this is the two-factor authentication. So this is another, I would say, step in the journey of logging in many of the enterprises and other secure mobile applications. So that's another evidence of test automation on top of Appium with 2FA that we can do with Perfecto. Voice assistant testing, I know that, John, this is one of the coolest things that I've actually learned from you. You're able to automate with Siri and other voice assistant on top of other applications as well. I think you recently showed me how you can actually automate voice assistant on a Slack application, actually testing a call via Slack. How do you see that as a solution on top of Appium today?
Mm-hmm. We do see a growing trend of these more complex use cases. And if you think about these, let's say, video calling or audio calling sort of use cases, traditionally, most companies would do this manually, and there's very few capabilities Appium open source can do to automate some of these. So with Perfecto, we see this as a gap. So what we do is we provide our Perfecto extensions, which are fully Appium compliant. So we can do things like these, in this case, Siri testing or voice assistant testing through additional API. In this case, what we're leveraging is really the ability to translate in audio to text and text back to audio. So this allows us to inject, let's say, snippets of different phrases into the device in order to validate whether or not the voice assistant is working as intended.
Awesome. And obviously, we can do other trivial thing because we are working outside of the context of the app and inside the app. So you can actually test flight mode and offline testing, Bluetooth BLE connectivity, and other NFC or close proximity sensor-based testing in the cloud with Perfecto. We talked a bit about the image scanning and barcode scanning. So this is exactly how you would do it, both interactive as well as automated in the Perfecto cloud. We have additional, screenshots from existing use cases that we have done, such as check deposit. You can see if you're testing a responsive web or a hybrid application that has a web component, and you want to see how it looks across different platforms and screen sizes or resolutions. You can actually test against them and then validate from the report how it looks across different platforms, web and mobile. We also recently, I think we are the only one in the market today that really supports testing of foldable smartphones in the cloud. Today, we are only dealing with Android foldable devices, but you can test foldable devices, applications on foldable devices with Appium, and also run a scanning of accessibility on the foldables like you see here on the screen, and really get your mobile accessibility report from the Perfecto Cloud on these unique devices. So this is something in addition to the previous advanced use cases that we support. Recently, and I think this was one of your projects as well, Johnny, we introduced support for APKS. APKS is the next generation of Android applications, a zip file mandated by Google starting the mid of 2021. So basically, it's a set of APK files, Android smaller applications that specifically gets installed per device, per geography, per specific configurations that the developers are putting in this APKS file or configuration file. And this is something that you actually need to test, because you will get from a developer a large zip file which includes 20 APK files. And once it gets into the Google Play and it gets installed, it needs to install the right APK file on the right device in the right geography, maybe in a different language. It can be, the use cases can vary. So I think we are the only one in the market today that really supports Google APKS format for testing Android applications in the cloud. Another thing which is quite cool that you can do in the cloud is connect from the cloud, from a real device in the cloud, back to your developer machine like it was connected via USB, a long USB, a virtual USB if you like. And this allows you to do on-device debugging on a cloud device, running ADB commands, getting other logs and other debugging informations, breakpoints that you would typically do when a device was connected either to your Android Studio or Xcode IDE. You can do it within Perfecto in the cloud through our DevTunnel solution. Johnny, do you have any word to add on top of the DevTunnel use case?
Yeah, we're seeing a trend shifting. So developers are starting to look at these cloud platforms in order to do development. And this is one of the key differentiators and key requirement is the ability to debug their app directly from the cloud. And by having this DevTunnel capability, the long USB cable that Eran has mentioned, this allows them to use their existing toolset and just treat Perfecto devices as just another device, which is tethered towards their laptop.
Awesome, Johnny, thank you. And I think if you are interested in learning almost on everything that we have just shown you, you can go to the perfecto.io website. You can either go to the free trial or the documentation layer and learn more, see some demos. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask us throughout this webinar and also after this webinar. Before moving to the demo, I just wanted to focus on two additional types of testing that you can do in the cloud and gain very useful value from. And this is the non-functional testing layer of mobile and web testing, starting with performance testing. So with Perfecto and our cloud, you can actually do some significant performance, single performance testing for web and mobile applications, utilizing Neotis and LoadRunner, generating HAR files and measuring user experience from specific transactions running either on a mobile device or on a web. We have recently ran a nice webinar where we showed how you can trigger a job from CI running the Perfecto test automation suite. I think it was Selenium together with Neotis, and really getting all these performance indicators, KPIs, timers back into the Perfecto as well as a Neotis reporting dashboard, giving you the non-functional coverage that you need on your platforms. So this is from a performance standpoint that we support. Second is the accessibility. And what we have learned is that accessibility, not just through 2020, which was really a next generation digital transformation year, but we also are seeing that many organizations are starting to shift their accessibility testing left, moving from manual accessibility testing towards automation, bringing this accessibility testing in-house where it was quite outsourced for many years. I think that like with Perfecto, the accessibility domain has grown into something which is very stable, very good, easy to kind of plug in to existing CI/CD and other frameworks. And we are using, in Perfecto, we have mobile native scanners for both iOS and Android on the mobile front, and you get it's not a compliance report because we are not a certification body, but you are getting an accessibility test report with all the violations, giving you the heads up that you need to know prior to releasing or moving to the next phase in your development cycle. From a web perspective, we're doing accessibility testing by integrating with the APKC framework from DQ, allowing you to really get an end-to-end accessibility testing on all of your web channels or web applications. And this really gives you a full accessibility coverage across both mobile and desktop web. Before we want to launch the real-life demo, and the demo is quite, I would say, long and thorough, but it really covers and hopefully have all the proof points that you need that we have presented over the slides really live in front of you. Johnny, do you have any additional notes on the non-functional testing that, from your experience, from what you're seeing in the market?
I agree with you. I think there's a definite trend where, traditionally speaking, the focus has been on functional automation and how do we automate as much as possible. But nowadays, we're hearing more and more of these requirements, which developers and testers, they want to put these in their pipeline as well. Accessibility for some countries, such as Canada, that becomes a hard requirement. And we're seeing that for many, many countries, these slowly become more and more important, so that QA teams are responding and they're looking at smarter ways of embedding a lot of these type of testing and how do they actually become part of the pipeline. Same with monitoring, shifting left and also shifting right. We do see that there is a growing demand to reuse existing test assets, and how do we, let's say, run these through a monitor synthetic script. So those are the trends that I hear on a daily basis, and I believe that will continue.
Totally, and I think that as we are opening 2021, we should see not just an advancement in, continuous testing and smarter testing or intelligent testing, but we also are starting to see even more advanced use cases around digital, like progressive web applications becoming more dominant. APKS we have just talked about, Apple App Clips, a subset of an application which doesn't really go through the App Store, and many other advancements that are all about the end user experience. And end user experience is not just about functional, but it's also about performance and availability as well as accessibility. So I think it all comes together towards a really good digital user experience on these advanced mobile applications. So with that, we have really covered a lot of ground in debunking these top five myths around cloud and continuous testing in the cloud. But let's now see it in action. And we have prepared a demo that really goes end-to-end through the entire Perfecto platform, continuous testing platform, from the manual testing abilities, the reporting layer, the execution across different frameworks, and also takes you through one of the newest abilities that we have running with Perfecto Connect and Cypress and Cucumber BDD all in parallel in the cloud. So let's move now to the demo and see it live in action. Okay, so now that we have learned some of the concepts or the benefits of a cloud, let's see the actual Perfecto platform, the cloud in action, and really see the evidence of everything that we have spoken up until now in the webinar. So this is the Perfecto cloud, that's the environment. And in this environment, as you can see, you can interact with real devices and desktop browsers. For example, open a real smartphone or a tablet, In parallel, you can actually go and also launch a real browser, a desktop browser. Let's say Windows 10 with Chrome 87, and we will open that. So right now, I'm already opening two different platforms: a mobile device and a desktop browser. As you can see, this is a real iPhone device with all these different applications installed, with all these different capabilities like installing an application, using biometrics like fingerprint, injecting an image. So if you want to do a check deposit, you can actually go and inject an image and mimic a check deposit, or other barcode scanning and stuff like that. Injecting an audio file, initiating a call or sending a text message to the device, mimicking network conditions like network virtualization. You can set, I don't know, a 3.5 or a 4G poor LTE network on this device and see how the user experience looks like. In addition, you can rotate the device. Everything here you can do on the device as it was in your own hands. You can also initiate an object spy. So if you want to start ramping up from manual to automation, you can launch the object spy that comes with the Perfecto platform. And as an example, if I click on one of the icons on the app, let's say this app, you can see the entire DOM, you can see the entire object tree, all the XCUI iOS elements that you can copy into your Appium or XCUI test automation scripts, and many more. So this is just for manual testing. This is how an interactive testing on a real device would look like. In addition, you can see here the Windows 10 platform. That's the browser. Again, you can use this browser to navigate to almost any browser or any website that you think of, and scroll down and up and do whatever manual testing on this desktop browser as you would do on your local environment. So this is for manual testing on both iOS, Android, and desktop cross-browser testing. Now let's look at something exciting, which is the Cypress test automation. So I will soon go here to the live stream and show you how it looks like. But as a prerequisite for the execution, what I've done a few things. I've initiated the Perfecto Connect. Okay, the Perfecto Connect is a tunnel for secure connection between my local environment, my dev or test local environment, local host, and the Perfecto cloud. In addition, I'm running here one of the projects that I am responsible for. This is a local editor called Glyphy, and you see it's running on my local machine. I can prove it to you by going here to my local host, and you can see that the editor is running. That's the Glyphy product. And I want to test this Glyphy product on, using Cypress. How I'm going to do that? What I've done, I've connected using the Perfecto Connect to the cloud, and you can see here that's the secure tunnel ID. Okay, that's the secure tunnel ID that connects from the framework to the cloud. What I've done is I've taken this tunnel ID and I put it in the configuration file for Cypress. You see it here per each of the three different browsers, the Windows 10 with Chrome 86, the Windows 10 with Firefox 83, and the Windows 10 with Edge browser 86. Per each I put the tunnel ID, and I'm going to run a bunch of Cucumber BDD and Cypress on this Glyphy local product. You can see here a few of these scenarios written in Cucumber plus Cypress. And what I need to do is simply launch this command, Perfecto Cypress run, with this JSON configuration file, which has these desired capabilities. What is going to happen right now, I'm going to zip and upload my entire project of Cypress with Cucumber for this Glyphy editor into the Perfecto cloud. Once it's going to be in the cloud, you will start seeing the browser, you can start seeing the execution, and monitor the progress across these different browsers configurations. So let's wait up until the zip file is being uploaded to the cloud to start seeing the execution. If I go to the Analyze reports, you can actually see this is part of the reporting platform. If I was running it from Jenkins, you would have seen a new job added here. But we'll go to the live stream, and you will see here the Cypress execution, the Cypress Cloud execution starting to initiate. So we'll just give it a minute or so to really see the execution starting. As you can see right now, the Cypress execution has started and it's running. I have two feature files with multiple scenarios running on the Glyphy. As you can see, it is going to the local host of my machine and running different commands, different scenarios, like editing and creating new shapes, dragging and dropping them. And this is all done by Cypress with JavaScript and Cucumber add-on on top of Cypress in the cloud, running in parallel across 3 different browsers as we specified in the JSON file. Everything that is going to be executed and run will be recorded and stored in the report library. So once these tests are completed, we can go and examine this report in the report library. So let's wait for this scenario to complete. As we see, 5 out of, I think, 6 test cases are already completed. Cypress is a very fast test automation framework. Running it with Perfecto in parallel in the cloud is even faster. Now, after this scenario, this feature file is completed, as you saw the shape properties, we can go to the report library and see, for example, the test report. And you can see here the different commands with all the, toolbar action feature, whatever it needed to do, loading the editor, visiting this URL, snapshot is missing, it's checking for different scenarios. All of these steps from the feature file of Cucumber are recorded here. If we want to go back and look at the report or the video, you can see it here that it was fully recorded and stored as a video file. With that, I will conclude this demo. And as mentioned, we have seen the Perfecto cloud platform for both manual testing on mobile, on web, and we have seen a very nice parallel test execution demo combining Cypress and Cucumber in parallel in the Perfecto cloud, leveraging the Perfecto Connect to enable testing from a local host environment. Thank you. Let's get back to the webinar. So with that, I think, I hope that we were able, myself and Johnny, to debunk some of these misconceptions or concerns, challenges that many in the market might have on using cloud solutions to do continuous testing at scale. And in the time that we have left, Shelby, before that, maybe, again, I just want to thank you, Johnny, for joining me in today's webinar and helping create this amazing content. So thank you for joining in today's event.
Not a problem. Happy to be on the call.
Thank you. And Shelby, we have some time for a few questions. So if you can see what we have waiting for us.
Yes, absolutely. Our first question from the audience asks, if I have existing test suites written in Appium or Selenium and I want to migrate them to the cloud, how seamless is it to do?
Right. I can take this one. It's a very common question that we have asked. In fact, most of the customer we work with, they probably have embarked down a journey. So they have some sort of a test environment up and running, especially in Selenium and Appium. Typically, the migration is really, we're talking about 5 to 6 lines of code. And we're talking about, for example, in your, let's say, capabilities, adding a couple lines to point towards the cloud, select which device or which browser you want to execute. Update the URL. So instead of pointing to a local URL, you'll be pointing towards a cloud URL. Last of all, you need a security token, but combining all these things, really, that's all you need to integrate and run on Perfecto Cloud.
Great. The next question is, are you also able to support some of the newer technologies that are emerging, like Cypress, foldables, and PWAs?
So Cypress, obviously, I've just shown a demo which, we are supporting and able to execute existing Cypress together also with Cucumber in our cloud. And to Johnny's point on the previous question, what I've just executed were out-of-the-box Cypress test cases that were seamlessly running on the Perfecto Cloud by just adding these configuration lines pointing to the right cloud, the security token, and the right desired capabilities that are required. So this is kind of combining the first question and the second. We do support foldable devices. I've shown just a screenshot, but if someone is interested in learning more about testing with Perfecto on foldable devices, we have a full-blown methodology that we can share. With regards to PWA, we also support testing with Appium as well on progressive web applications. This is where you actually test both the web elements, and then when you create the link on the mobile device of this progressive app, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, and many other applications that have converted to PWA, we are able to really launch and test them through Appium in the Perfecto environment. So to these questions, we support almost any of the new evolving technologies. I also mentioned APKS earlier in this webinar. So we're trying to be, on top of every innovation that is out there and support it.
Awesome. Next question is, what would be the process to get our IT security to approve the use of the cloud? What was your experience and workflow?
Yeah, so we speak of a wide range of different companies. Some are startups, some are enterprise customers. So the process from company to company typically differs a little. But in my experience, typically we have to, first of all, once we figure out you want Perfecto as a solution, is to figure out your internal process. So what is the best way to engage with your InfoSec team? And typically we would involve quite a few things. On our side, we can involve our CISO, our Chief of Security Officer, and we're happy to answer any of these security questionnaires that are sent over. Sometimes we'll hop on a call. Some security teams that we interface with would prefer to have someone to do a live session to walk through, let's say, the topology, the security protocols, and also follow up with any supporting documents. So if you're unsure of how to proceed, happy to hop on a call. We're always here to help and to figure out with you how we can best get this Perfecto into your organization.
Awesome. Thank you, Johnny. And I think, if there are other questions around, security, network configurations, anything that would require to get the cloud infrastructure team, security team, and other teams within your organizations connecting with Perfecto, just feel free to reach to us, and we'll be able to support you in that. With that, I would like to wrap up this webinar. If there are other questions, we'll be happy to take them and address them offline individually. So we do appreciate everyone joining us today in this webinar, and I do hope that you enjoyed the material, the content, and the demo. Again, I would like to thank you, Johnny, for joining me in this webinar, and Shelby for having all of us here in this event. And we all look forward to seeing you in the next webinar. Feel free to follow us on almost all these social channels. Visit our website. We have Twitter handles and LinkedIn pages and groups. So feel free to connect to us on these channels as well.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Aran. Thanks, Shelby.
Thank you.